Welcome to episode 22. Knock on wood, hopefully, no more technical glitches. But as you can tell, we've been making a lot of progress on the back end. We're now in a place where I wanted to share some things that we have planned for New Voice Live. Um, as I said, when I first started on this with Cailley and Sean, we didn't know where this was going to go. And one of the biggest hurdles of this is that we're no longer in person. And the experience of being in person versus being on camera is completely different. There's an energy that happens when you're in person that you cannot get on camera. And so we've tried our hardest to make sure that we create an environment that, as best we can, simulates what it means to be in front of an audience and all the anxiety and the fear that comes along with that. That's why we spent all this time on the stage, as I call it. And I got to tell you, I feel the anxiety every week because every week I'm deathly afraid of the thing crashing, just like it just did, right? So that's the anxiety. As much as I hate when it crashes, that's the reason why I'm here. That's the reason why we do it live. If we didn't do it live, we could do it all the takes we wanted. The computer crashes, no one ever knows. But doing it live means that when we fail publicly. And that's the reason why I'm here. This is a place where we are pushing the boundaries. We are really trying to get ourselves in a place where we feel uncomfortable. And I think we've created a place where we've mimicked it in a way that it is equal to, in its own way, being in front of a live audience. And so that's where we're at today. Is I'm now in a place where, as a member with you all in New Voice Live, the next goal of us is to try to build this so that we have an audience. And we need more people to come in through the doors because at the end of the day, while we all know each other and like hearing the stories and like hearing each other talk every week, the real test of this is if we get strangers to come in and enjoy what they see and become members. So that's the next level for us. And you've all come here for different reasons. And I've been thinking really hard about what it is that when we go out now, what we tell this audience why they should come. So we focused a lot, I focus a lot on the fear of public speaking. That's the common denominator. That's what gets people to say, oh yeah, I have that and I want to come and get better at that. But that's not a compelling story. That's not a reason why people should say or would feel like, oh, I want to come. And so as I thought about what it is that I think we're trying to do, I went back to our Toastmasters in-person meetings and thought about what it was like then. And as I used to talk about it there, this is something that is an art form. And in fact, there's a word for it. It's called oratory. And the definition of oratory is the art of speaking in public eloquently or effectively. And that's what I used to always say about Toastmasters and what we were doing. We were really studying the art of public speaking. And for me, that's really the encapsulation of it all, which is what this is, it's an art form. It's a skill. And like any art form or skill, it can take various different shapes, various different forms, and we are now adapting it for this digital world. And so for me, the New Voice Live, instead of it being the art of public speaking, it's really for me, Cailley, want to flip the slide too, if you can? It is for me, the oratory art of speaking online, which encompasses not only the speaking part, but also the visual medium that we're now in as well. And we always talk about it, right? The video, the background that we need to have, being able to look good into the camera, all those things become part of the art that is associated with speaking and looking good on camera. And that's the direction I think that we're taking with New Voice Live, is that what we're going to focus on is the art of oratory online. And as you guys go out and I go out and try to explain to people what it is that we're doing, that's what it is. I think we're focused on the art of public speaking, but on an online format. And this art can take all kinds of different shapes and forms. Um, every one of us has our own artistic streak in it. We have some of us are musicians, some of us are artists, some of us or whatever we philosophers as as some of us are. Every one of us has our own way of portraying our art on the screen. And so that's what I want us to do is every one of you fill out your profiles, get your gifts going, create your own art, and we'll put it on the screen for people to watch, to admire, to come and hopefully enjoy, and ultimately become members with us. Right? So that's what that's why I'm here. That's what I think New Voice Live is all meant to be about is this art that we're creating online collectively. So from here on out, spread the word. This is now becomes a mission for us to gain an audience and bring people into the fold. We're going to start to get students coming in from the new school, but they're just one piece of it. They have their art. We've got other people from the community who have their art. And so what I really love to see is potentially a museum of sorts. We have lots of different forms of art and lots of different people doing their own takes on this expression on camera. All right, so with that said, if anybody's got any questions about that, have any comments, any suggestions about how we move forward, please let me know because we're now, as I said, transitioning. We're now asking you guys to go out and tell the world about us. We have to go out and tell the world. We're we're telling people as best we can to go to YouTube and watch us there to start getting counts and views and likes and do all the things that we do on social media. So, as I said, if you have any questions or any suggestions, please let me know. We're all ears. This is really meant to be all of us now. And for me, the best part of it is I look forward to now being able to give speeches and being part of the content creation process. So, thanks for joining us. And welcome to the 22nd episode of New Voice Live, the art of public speaking. With that said, let's move into our formal part of the show and get our speaker on the screens. And our first speaker of the evening is going to be Rob. So let's get Rob on the screen with us. Rob, let's get Rob on the screen. There we go.
All right.
Rob, welcome to the show. We've got your GIF up.
Hi, Henry. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. I love the sunglasses. And so, Rob, you've been I call you a longtime member. So you're on speech 3, which is get to the point. And
Yep.
as I've been saying, we're now kind of into the curriculum portion of New Voice Live, diving into why these speeches are the speeches that they are, and there's a particular order to them. And speech 3 is meant to say, it follows speech 2, which is organize your speech. And as I like to describe in speech 2, it's about saying, well, we're on a road trip and we all want to be passengers knowing where we're headed. So give us a roadmap. That's speech number 2. Speech number 3, get to the point, is the destination. This is where you're saying, I'm taking you to this destination. And you can tell us about this destination any way you want. You can say, I'm telling you exactly where we're going, or you can say, I'm going to leave it a surprise because it's that great a destination. But the point is that we all should feel like after the speech, I got the destination. I got the point. So that's why speech number 3 is the third speech, and in many ways the most important speech of all, because it's essentially the message that we're trying to deliver to our audience. Okay? So with that said, Rob, you've got 4 minutes on the clock. I'll let you take it away.
All right. All right. There is a fashion emergency happening in the world right now. Luckily, for all of you, I have secrets to overcome it and tools for us to step up our game. Every one of you is here to live up to your full potential. That's why we're all here, finding our voice. However, milliseconds before we open our mouths, people make a first impression. It's science. Our brain judges a book by its cover. So fashion matters. Even during our 6 months of long anonymity in sweatpants. So, so what do we do? What do we do? Well, the answer is accessories. And fortunately for all of you, I'm a fashion accessories designer. With a successful history working for the top global fashion brands. And there's a good chance that every one of you probably owns some things I've designed, whether it's from Michael Kors or Coach or many other fashion brands. So to all of you, welcome now to Accessories 101. And I'm going to break it down in 3 ways. So accessories, we're going to talk about how to be iconic with them. 2, we're going to talk about devil is in the details. And 3, we're going to talk about winning with accessories. So I know most of you know what accessories are. They're shoes, hats, sunglasses, watches, jewelry, bags. And there's something about an accessory that is just so incredibly iconic. Would Superman be Superman without a cape? Would Wonder Woman be Wonder Woman without her wrist guards? It's the cherry on top of the sundae. It's the piece de resistance. And your accessories become your signature. And when I talk about the devil is in the details, I'm not talking about the devil wears Prada. I'm talking about the little things. The ABCs of fashion accessories are being authentic with what you wear, being bold, and being curated. Wear things, fashion accessories, that tell a story, that are a keepsake, that are a conversation piece, that really echo your authentic self. And the third is winning with accessories. And they're really a tool to give you more confidence in your personal brand, in your collective person, and all the facets that you're working to improve. And remember for a sec, a first date that you went on, or a wedding you were at that you were wearing a great accessory, or the time right now we're all thinking about back to school and that feeling of our first outfit on the first day of school and those accessories that go with it. So I have a favor to ask all of you. And this weekend, as we go into a long weekend and we're fully getting into that fall mode, I want you to pick out and start to wear an accessory that gives you confidence, that has stories in it, and is iconic to you and is authentic to who you are, and makes you feel good. And I'll leave you with that. As Bill Blass once said, when in doubt, wear red. Thank you very much.
That was great. I loved it. And the background, the moving background, nice little trick. I was trying to figure out how you did that. So you have to share that with me later on. But I love the idea of embracing the technology. Cool. Great job.
It's actually a fashion show that I did before, so.
I love it. I love it. And so let's get into our formal evaluation for the evening. You all have the link in the chat. Hopefully, I think Sean finally did get a chance to join us. I don't know if Sean can share that link, or if Cailley you can, but let's give Rob our evaluation, our audience evaluation feedback via the chat in the link. And we're going to let Rob do his self-evaluation as he listens to his favorite song from the Talking Heads. 2 minutes on the clock, and we'll come right back. We have up next, can you guys hear me? Hopefully you can hear me. We've got Colleen. I think we're still running.
Yep.
Fingers crossed. We've got Colleen as our evaluator. Colleen, are you there? Let's get Colleen on the screen.
Sure. Hey guys.
And let's see if I can get her on the screen. Colleen, there we go. Okay, we are still running. Thank God.
Okay, perfect.
Welcome back, Colleen. You're our evaluator for
Thank you.
Rob. Have you given an evaluation before?
I haven't. This is my first, and I've heard Rob give evaluations, and they're so thoughtful. So I hope I can do him justice.
I'm sure you will. And thank you for taking on this role. You have sped through, you've given your fourth speech, and just want to remind everyone that we're asking everyone to do up to 4 speeches and then take on roles. So you've done that. And for roles, this is actually one of the hardest roles there is. And in my opinion, probably the hardest thing to do in general, which is your job as an evaluator is to, at the end of the day, inspire this person, whoever you're evaluating, to do it again. And that's relatively easy when you give them all kinds of positive support, which we want. But the hard part comes where you're trying to give them constructive feedback as well. So you're trying to give them feedback that by definition is going to make them want to say, I don't want to do that again. So the role of the evaluator is to deftly weave both the good and the constructive into an evaluation, specifically for Rob and his third speech, which is get to the point. So that's your job as the evaluator. You've got 3 minutes on the clock. Let me get Rob on the screen for you, and I'll let you take it away.
Hey, thank you, Henry, and thank you, Rob. That was a fantastic speech. So Henry started us off by saying that you were supposed to take us to a destination. The get to the point speech is all about persuading us, and I feel like you absolutely did that. You really compelled us from the get-go. There's a fashion emergency. You had the glasses on, the background running. You definitely compelled us from the very beginning of your speech, which was great. I really appreciated. I also kind of felt like there was a very nice call to action at the very beginning in order to live up to our full potential. And so I really appreciated that. You really had a personal call to action that you incorporated, which was particularly compelling. And then I also really loved how you incorporated different examples into your speech. I think that that always really gives us something to relate to. So you gave the example of Superman's cape and how to become our authentic self. I especially loved the example of picking out your first outfit for your first day of school. I think that that's something that all of us can relate to and is definitely topical with this time of year. So I would say all around, I absolutely enjoyed every minute. In terms of your particular strengths, I think that there is, I feel like there's a very genuine delivery component to how you deliver your speeches. I feel like you're really talking directly to us, which I love. You have a really nice pace. I tend to speak really quickly. So I think that, hearing your pace really inspires me. And then I would think I'm trying to think of if there's anything in particular that maybe you could improve on. I feel like we had a really strong energy at the beginning. And I would just say maybe we can, really create that energy throughout, really bring that inflection points and that sort of thing throughout the entire speech. And then I guess the only other thing is, you started us off with breaking down the kind of 3 main components. I can't remember the first one, but I think the second one was devil in the details and then winning with accessories. So I know you introduced that, and I'm wondering if maybe there's just a way to round us out with that at the end. But other than that, I loved every minute of it, and I think you did a fantastic job. So thank you.
Great job, Colleen.
Thanks, Colleen.
Love the evaluation as well. Thanks for taking on the roles, and please continue to take on roles. Please help us out with all the other stuff that we need. While you've got you on screen, so we only have one speech tonight, and we need people to take on roles and to fill the slots as well. So as I said, we've got two things going on from here on out. One, we want to create good content. We want the slots to be all filled and all the roles to be filled. And we also then want to go out and get an audience. So we've got double duty for all of our members. Take those roles, do those speeches, and then let's get an audience to then fill in more speeches and more roles. So thanks for that, Colleen. Great job.
Thanks.
All right, for tonight, we have a question of the evening. What is your hidden talent? As you all know, that we're trying to get the support stream going as between speakers. So if you get a chance, hop in the support channel and put a GIF of your hidden talent there. And we'll take a couple minutes, or not a couple minutes, a few seconds to get ourselves reset. And we're going to have table topics next. So hop in that support channel. Okay, we have Alex as our table topics master of the evening. We still have 3 slots open. So anybody wants to hop in, please hop in now. The question of the evening is never let school get in the way of your education. What does that mean to you? And with that said, let me get Alex on the screen and we'll let Alex take it away as our table topics master for the evening. And Alex, are you there?
I most certainly am, Henry.
All right, let's get Alex on the screen and we'll let Alex take it away. Alex,
Greetings
go ahead.
to you. Greetings, Henry, and greetings all NVL toasties and distinguished guests. It's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to see you. Rob, what a kick beep speech you gave. And what a great evaluation. Now, elucidation is the word of the day. So I hope that you will be lucid and elucidate your talk with the word of the day. And the question of the day has to do with, actually, it's sort of a bit of a misquote I did from Mark Twain, because what Mark Twain said was that he never let school interfere with his education. I like get in the way of, maybe it's a little bit more au jour le jour. Anyhow, what I'd like to do is to ask our first guest, whom I believe is, who is it, Henry? Colleen. Colleen, you are a very educated lady. You use a lot of great vocabulary. What does the saying, never let school get in the way of your education, mean to you?
All right. So I would say when you initially said that, I would say that to me, what that means is not underestimating the importance of experience, as well as and through experience, travel as well. I think there's a particular example that rings true for me this week in particular. So I work for an accounting firm, but I do management consulting, and so because I work for an accounting firm, we're required, and I don't know if maybe this is a standard at other in other industries as well, but we're required to do a certain number of CPEs, which is continuous professional education. So we have to log a certain number of hours of CPEs. We have all these required trainings that they make us do. So that's kind of the closest thing I have to school these days, I would say. And so I just kind of, we're nearing the end of our fiscal year. And so I had a lot of deadlines, a lot of kind of online trainings that I had to do. a big series that was all about the new system that we were upgrading to. And I went through probably 4 hours of training on this thing. And then this week I actually had to do it. I had to actually log a new opportunity and a pricing model and a team structure and everything in this new tool that I had no idea how to use from doing the training. So I through the course of actually getting into the tool, using it, maybe referencing back to the trainings, I now feel like I understand how to use it. But certainly from just watching a video on how to use it, I didn't. So I would say that that's in terms of experience, that is something that definitely rings true for me. And then I just to add to that, and I'm not sure if I'm running over time, but the importance of travel. And I think there's a piece of reading a history book, but then actually going to the places where these things happened and seeing them firsthand. I think that always kind of sticks with you longer. So I always love to combine, reading things in a like one-dimensional view, but then also, traveling to those places and kind of seeing it with your own eyes. I think that kind of sticks with you longer. So
splendid. What a splendid answer. You really elucidated the question here. Oh, no worries. You really did. And what I got from that is the whole notion of the CPEs and the learning by doing. And I think it's the philosopher, maybe Dr. D can help you, John, I forgot his name now. Anyway, who talked about learning by doing. And that's exactly what you've done. And that's exactly, I believe, how we do it at Toastmasters. We learn by doing. We step up, we give a speech, we give a table topic, we give an evaluation. That's the way to do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, who is Devika? Oh. Well, I know Devika as a very...
Hi, Alex.
Hello, Devika. I know you as a very lucid Toastmaster, someone who has a lot of experience, someone who's very learned, and who speaks very well. And Devika, I would like you to elucidate us with what the saying, "never let school get in the way of your education," means to you. Over to you.
Thank you, Alex. One thing I like to start off with is that Rome wasn't built in a day. And I feel that that sort of, is a analogy to this quote as well, because um, and I would like to, talk about both the sides of this, quote, because um, according to me, formal education is definitely important and cannot be supplemented with an informal education. But having said that, as Colleen also mentioned, things like travel, reading, and first-hand experiences, intuition, things like these experiences in life also mean a lot. They also, make you learn a lot. Human interactions, personal experiences, social interactions, how you understand each other, communication. But how you do all these things definitely, come with formal education. In schools, they teach you things like social science, moral science, science itself. So all these things like biology, physics, chemistry, morality, it definitely comes from formal education. So I feel that formal education should not be confused with something informal. Although limiting oneself to books, and travel and experiences will definitely take you heights, and we have umpteen examples of many famous people who have done that. But I definitely feel that formal education is equally important, if not more. I have an experience. One of my cousins actually, a few years back, was trying to get his son into school, and we were trying to, understand which school he should go to. Should he go into something, a school which is really high end, has a lot of fees, and it's ranked number one in the city and things like that. Or he should go into, as my my sister-in-law was saying, his mom, that she studied from an average school, but she was doing very well. So why not? What's the difference? Why not? And then we debated, and these things came up. So this reminded me of that experience. But he ended up going to, of course, my sister-in-law school. But what I'm trying to say is that I say that formal education is very important, and experiences and travel and reading also give you a lot of knowledge and
Excellent points.
experience.
Excellent points. Thank you so much, Devika. Well, yes, in fact, there is the argument that formal education is very important. However, in certain uh, organizations and certain peoples among the world, there's also the oral tradition, which perhaps we wouldn't consider it a formal education, but it is a fairly formalized storytelling kind of thing. I do remember the name of the philosopher about whom I was speaking. His name is John Dewey. And I believe that John Dewey is the man who has the quote about making sure that you learn by doing. Anyway, very quick. I'm going to go on to the next. And who do we have next? We have Mr. Biagio. And I would like to invite you to come up, sir, and take the. Yes, sir. Hi. Well, you've heard some of the lucid kinds of answers before. I'd like to know if you have any feelings about the expression "never let school get in the way of your education." Over to you, sir.
Sure thing. Great question. So I went to the Cooper Union in New York in the Astor Place, studied engineering and with secondary focus in art. And I found there to be a huge gap between being book smart and street smart, being, IQ and EQ in a sense. Uh, for example, we had a professor named Perry Grossman, and he taught some physics classes. He was a character, so what was counterintuitive, if you raised your hand and asked questions, he would give you a poor grade. He hated questions. And typically the top students would, again, be in the front row. They would have all kinds of questions for him. And some of us that were maybe a little bit more street smart realized that if you sat in the back of the class, and if you're also out of eyesight, he had a lazy eye. So a few of us figured out which eye was the one that was actually staring at you, and we found a spot that was in his blind spot. We all received A's, and our colleagues in school that, again, were raising their hands received B's and C's. So a certain level of, but you can't learn in school, typically is to be a little more aware of your situation and your environment. And this became crucial for me when I got out of school. By the way, is it 2 minutes that we're supposed to get into, or 3?
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Coming up to 2.
Okay. Well, I hope I was able to elucidate.
Yeah, you did perfectly.
I did.
And you also used the word of the day. So kudos to you.
All right,
man. Well, listen, I really appreciate that answer. And I think it's interesting because, on one hand, the professor might have given everybody a kick in the pants, because to my mind, usually it's the whole notion of school to really get into it and really question, really ask why. So I probably would have been a D student to this guy, but hey, he's a D student to me. Thanks a lot. All right, who is next? Ooh, all right. Well, Miss Valencia, are you
Hi.
here? Hi, how are you?
Yes, Emily. Good, and you? How
Yes,
are
I
you?
know Emily. I called you Miss Valencia because I couldn't really read very well, but I know it's you, Emily.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, given your experience and your education, your schooling, etc., what do you think about the saying, never let school get in the way of your education? What does that mean to you?
Thank you, Alex. Well, Alex, I want to say that I signed up for the table topics without reading the question. And as soon as I read the question, I just wanted to delete my name. That happens when I don't really know how to answer the question. But in real life, if someone asks me a question that I do not know how to answer, I cannot disappear. So that's the reason why I joined Toastmaster, is to practice uncomfortable questions in order to make it less uncomfortable. So I want to share an anecdote that I think is related to the saying, or yes, never let school get in the way of your education. And here I wanted to speak about something that recently happened with my stepdaughter. When she was 13, 14, she decided that she wanted to study computer science in a top school, such as MIT, Carnegie Mellon, or Stanford. And she has been very proactive, getting good grades, and she even opened her own coding club in her high school. Now she's 18. She still wants to study computer science. However, last week when we spoke with her, she let us know that she does not want to apply anymore for those Ivy schools. So we asked her why, and it looked like her tutor at school told her that she should stop aiming for those schools and that she's not a Carnegie Mellon material. So we tried to tell her that she cannot let school tutors interfere with her education, and that she cannot just quit her dreams because someone just told her that that is not possible. I think that she's suffering from something called imposter syndrome. She thinks that she's not good enough for those top schools. And I think the role of the school, the tutor, should be to help her to work on those areas that she needs improvement, and not to destroy her dreams or aspirations. So that's what I think. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? That is such a splendid answer, and that resonates with me. I live in Montreal and I work completely in French, but and my first language obviously is English. When I went to go to school in French for the first time, one of the teachers said, "Oh, you'll never speak French." And by the same token, kind of like what your young lady, I hope, will do, is say, "The heck with you." That's the flag. So I hope that the guy who said that salutes it.
Yes,
Anyway,
that's what we should. Thank you.
absolutely. So by the way, if she wants any elucidation, you can have her talk to me or many other people here. So thank you so much. What a great answer. So who is next? We have Asantie. Oh no, we have Jeneil. Hi, Jeneil. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. How are you?
I'm really great. I'm really great. Thank you so much. And you've had a chance to listen to some of our participants talk about never letting school interfere with or get in the way of your education. What does something like that mean to you?
Thank you, Alex. I'm really excited to answer this question. In high school, I managed to only do 3 years rather than 4 years of American high school. I was an exchange student to Japan through the International Rotary Club in high school for my junior year. And I got up to a lot of not being in the classroom and hanging out. That year, I was with one other exchange student, one other Westerner from Australia in a Japanese classroom in Japanese high school in central Japan. And after our homeroom class was called into attendance each day, my friend Kim and we just went and hung out in the school library. Sometimes we would leave early. We would peruse Japanese magazines. They had a very limited catalog of English language books, and Kim's Japanese was quite advanced. In Australia, they used to learn Japanese the way Americans learn Spanish. It's an essential language there because of business ties and everything between the two countries, Australia and Japan. And so her Japanese was quite up to par. Mine wasn't, but she helped me. And I would never give up that year ever. I learned so much. I mean, it wasn't classroom learning, but I made an amazing friend who is one of my best friends to this day. I had an incredible cultural experience. I got to learn a new language. I got to see somewhere that I never would have seen otherwise. And had it not been for that experience, my life today might be very different. But I'm a world traveler now, and I go to many different countries and cultures, and I feel comfortable getting to know people in different contexts. And a lot of it is absolutely thanks to that environment and that experience I had. So
Wonderful,
just,
wonderful.
yeah, just wanted to
You
let you know
really,
and
well, listen,
elucidate
you
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 on my experience.
how wonderful, and you didn't let, for sure, you didn't let school interfere with your education. On the contrary, you've gained so much more. You've gained language skills, cultural skills, friends, things that probably nobody else. I mean, you have unique skills. So kudos to you, and thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank
That's
you.
splendid. Thank you.
Thank you for the excellent question.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. Now we have Asantie. And Asantie, I haven't met you before, but I believe you're a student here at the new school. Am I right?
Yes,
Yeah?
I am.
Oh, wonderful. Well, that's splendid. So Asantie, you're sort of at the beginning of your schooling in a sense, but if you listen to some of the older people like me, what do you think when you hear us saying, never let school get in the way of your education? What does that mean to you?
Now, this is a great question for table topic, Alex. Thank you. Let me elucidate my opinion. I am pursuing a Master of Arts now at the new school, and I took a year off between finishing my undergraduate and starting this master's studies because I just didn't know exactly what I wanted to pursue at the master's level. And during that time, I worked with a nonprofit and a private company simultaneously. And I think that those were great experiences because they helped inform what I wanted to study formally. So when I think about this, I think about how had I not taken the opportunity to learn in a more informal way or more professionally rather than in the formal education system, that I wouldn't know what I wanted to study, and I would have probably pursued something that my heart wasn't in and that I wasn't passionate about. And along the way, I think also that having formal education is a basis, but really we learn every day from people, from what we watch, from experiences that we have. And I think that we need to also have some leeway to question the things that we learn and take some time to think about how they apply to us and how we can really apply them to our lives. So education, formal education in school is the basis, but I think life really is the greatest teacher that we have.
Asante, what a beautiful response and what a beautiful ending quote. It's so true. Life is our master in a sense because we have such a short lease of life, and everything that we do from our birth to our demise is based on life, and life is our teacher, isn't it? What a wonderful response, and thank you for using the word of the day. Now, who else do we have here? We have Dr. D. I'm really looking forward to Dr. D. How are you, Dr. D?
Hello, my name is
Hello.
Dulce. The reason you see that Dr. D is
Yeah,
people can't pronounce my name.
they
So I
can't pronounce your name.
no,
Now,
people absolutely butcher it. So I say just
oh,
call me D.
okay.
And
Well,
my students say Dr. D, but please just
all right. Well, is it
and you don't
Dulce?
have to say my
Is it
name.
Dulce?
I heard you.
Am I pronouncing it correctly, Dulce?
Absolutely. Perfect.
Ah, beautiful. Well, Dulce is a sweet name.
Thank you.
Now,
Pun,
now,
pun.
thank you so much, Dulce. So my question to you, and I believe that you talked about students and you've been around academe for a while. So I'm going to ask the question to you. What does the saying, never let school get in the way of your education, mean to you? Thank you.
Thank you. For me, that was almost meaningless for a very long time. I grew up in a house of teachers. My father was a head teacher. My mother was a head teacher. I've mentioned this before. They both had different schools. They were the heads of different schools. And then the schools amalgamated to become a co-ed school. So I grew up only in school. So for me, education and school somewhere got melded. I had no idea what the difference was. I also believe up to this day that everything we do goes into making us exactly who we are. Every day, every experience builds on whatever went before, and that's how we become who we are. However, I will say this. I did find out after I came to America that it's not only reading, writing, arithmetic, Spanish, English, history, geography, and scripture, which I learned in school, but so many other things. I came here because my father was the kind of person who had to groom me from I was born to get a scholarship. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone to high school. In those days, high school was not free in Jamaica. So I went to high school and I did all the things I was supposed to do. But it isn't until I got here that I found out that maybe I'd never had an original thought. Who knows? I began to think that I wasn't a thinking person. I had learned so much by rote. I mean, ask me any of the speeches in Shakespeare. I can tell you from the beginning to the end because we learned them by heart. So there's a lot more that I had to learn here. And I may even have mentioned that I realized one day at IBM when when my manager called me in and said, Dulce, you're such a creative person. I'd like you to make a video of the training that we do for the new machine. And I thought, who? What? Creative person? She must, I wonder who she's talking about. But that made a big difference in my life. I'm now saying that not only that, but everything else went into making me who I am. And that's
Absolutely.
what education is. So
Absolutely.
school out of there.
Absolutely. What a splendid answer, Dulce. I really enjoyed it. I love the way that you speak extemporaneously. You just go right to it.
Thank you.
And you're logical. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
And I also like the fact that you're able to teach us about kind of like the chain of life, the chain of education, how one thing leads to another. And also your talk about memory work and things like that. This is something that I like to engage in myself. And memory, according to Cicero, is one of the elements of great rhetoric. So good on you. And
Thank
thank
you.
you so much. All
Thank
right. Who else do we have? Well, I believe we have our birthday man, Mr. Sean Jipol. And how do you do, Sean?
Hey, Alex, I'm here.
Great. And happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Now, you were a very learned man yourself. You've had a chance to see the inside of some schools. And I'd, besides the school of hard knocks, what about the school, the saying never let school get in the way of your education? What does that mean to you?
Yeah. So Sean Drapal here. Thanks Alex for this thought-provoking question. I think I'll start off by saying that I came from a family of educators also. So then, from a very young age, school was very important to our family. And I think, prior to college, I was a straight A student, but I think, that was because I was a better crammer than I was a learner. Because as I was going through grades through 1 through 12, there was an emphasis on regurgitation. So then when it came to exams and homework, it really wasn't a test of the things that you learned in class. It was more of an exercise of how well you can recite it in a pressure situation. It wasn't until I got to college and I got slightly lower grades, that was when I finally learned how to learn as a student. And I think that was a very powerful experience, because it taught me something that I hadn't ever learned before. And seeing how I've been outside of school for 4 to 5 years. I think the schools, I think the skills that I learned have come in handy, because I've used those skills to continue to educate myself through reading and podcasts and other sources. And if I didn't have that experience that I did in college, I would be a completely different person. So, so then I was a B student in college, but I felt I learned a lot more than I did in all the grades before then. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. For me, B means best. A, yes, and A is very hard to achieve, and especially in college. So I'm glad, and I think that the fact that you were able to go through that and meet some of those challenges and overcome some of those difficulties, and the Romans, I'm fond of quoting Latin things. Anyway, there's one that says, per angusta ad augusta, which means through anguish to glory, right? This is one of these kinds of things where we go through anguish to glory. Well, congratulations there. I don't believe
Thanks,
we have
Alex.
any. Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you. And I don't believe we. Oh no, I'm sorry. We have. Do we have Cailley? And also, yes, Cailley, we have you. Pardon me. Would you please come on up and we can discuss? You're a very educated lady too. I think I seem to recall. Did you go to the University of Michigan or?
Almost Kalamazoo College, which is
there. There you are. Okay, I knew
you
it
almost had
somewhere in there. Anyhow, congratulations on that. And I also know that Jeneil and you go back way back. So there you go.
Yeah, we're schoolmates.
I know. I heard that, and that's so exciting. So I'd like to have your input on the saying, never let school get in the way of your education, and what that means to you. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Alex, both for jumping in as table topic master tonight and for this great question. When I thought about the question, what I actually thought about is how much of my schooling was more about my relationship with my teachers rather than the curriculum, and how that kind of made my experience much more in high school than anything I learned. I had a really good teacher in high school named Mrs. Rysick, and she sort of looked like she had stumbled in off of a hippie commune. She wore all these really long flowing clothes and beads. I must be thinking of fashion because of Rob's speech. And she had Miss Frizzle hair, and she wore owl-shaped glasses. And she was my favorite teacher because she encouraged my writing, and she was really supportive. but it was also because she saw something about me that I was hiding. I grew up with an older brother who was very much a golden child. He was really talented, he was really smart, he was popular, he was sort of my parents' favorite, or at least in my perception he was. And he was the valedictorian. So in high school, I always compared myself to him, and I was always falling up short, and I was always competing with him. And I realized as an adult that I was doing the competing. He couldn't have noticed me if I was a fly on the wall to him. But Mrs. Ryzik, this teacher, knew that I really badly wanted to be on the same level as him, and I was like points off on my GPA of becoming the salutatorian. There's Jeneil will appreciate this. Jeneil, you know these little overachievers. There's Ben Hammer, who is the valedictorian. There's two people who tied for salutatorian, Ashley Slora and Danny Sanders, and I was like, I don't know, 0.01 point off from being a co-salutatorian, and I was really crushed by that. It was just like another point of how I wasn't living up to my brother. And I remember Mrs. Ryzik knew that about me. And I remember she wrote me a letter at graduation, and she said, I want you to know that I see you. And she said a lot of other really nice things, and I still have that letter. And that really meant a lot to me.
Wow.
So I really recommend, if you write a letter to someone that says nice things about them, they'll keep that, and it will mean something to them all these odd years later.
Oh, absolutely.
So thank you, Alex.
Oh, thank you. What a beautiful speech. And in my books, you're top salutatorian 100%. So congratulations. And Mrs. Rizak, wherever you are, Godspeed. Very cool. Well, thank you so much. And I'm wondering if we have anyone else. And I do believe, I'm just going to get this out of the way. And we have Tej. Tej, are you there?
Hello.
You are our last speaker. And I really want to congratulate you and thank you, because here you are jumping into it. And you're also a student at the new school, and one of our budding leaders. So congratulations. And I'd also like to know from you, from your point of view, because you're a student, what the saying "never let school get in the way of your education" means to you.
Thank you so much, Alex. I was listening to all the speakers, and I realized that most of my ideas have been taken, so I apologize. There's a saying that is, everything has a limit. Iron ore cannot be educated into gold. I come from a family of scholars. My grandfather was a scholar, my father is a scholar. So degrees mean a lot in my family. And I am doing my third degree right now. But then most of my education has been outside in the field. And my father never bothered about the scores that I've had. My brother never said, you have to get 99.9%. It was always, I don't care about numbers. I was horrible at mathematics, and my father was the happiest when I said, I do not want to do mathematics in my undergrad master's level. So looking back, now I realize that most of my education was with organizations that I had worked for, extracurricular activities that I had done, including singing, including healing, including yoga. These are some of the aspects that have built my personality and the kind of person I am right now. Unfortunately, growing up in India and changing 6 schools, I realized that my school did not teach me confidence. My school did not teach me emotional intelligence, and my school did not teach me how to speak to a person in when it comes to issues that they are facing. And I got most of my education, and when I was writing my SOP, I realized that everything I had was everything that I had done outside of school. So I believe that a person is developed and a personality is developed outside of education. And education is defined by who you are as a person, by you, and not by somebody else. Thank you.
That's such a fantastic answer, and I believe it's very true. If you look at some of the non-schooling or unschooling or homeschooling ways, many of those educators try to get their children to take responsibility for their own education. Because education, I believe, isn't something that can be foisted onto you, pushed onto you. It's something that you need to take into you and with you. And you need to have this responsibility aspect. So I really believe what you say. And I also really like what you say because it's true. They don't teach us confidence. They don't teach us negotiation. They don't teach us how to say no. They don't teach us how to ask why. So these are some of the questions that schools don't teach us. And I believe that we have to take responsibility for our education. I want to thank you and everybody for such a wonderful table topics. Henry, I'd like to hand it back over to you, and I want to thank you so much.
Great job, Alex. A great question as well. And as you all know, we'd like to vote for our favorite table topic speaker of the evening. And also, we can give Alex some feedback on the same form now. So, Sean, if you wouldn't mind sending out the vote for your favorite table topic of the evening, and if you all would take a minute to fill that out. While you're doing that, we'll get into our roles for the evening and get our timer and grammarian counts. So let's get into that. We have
Henry.
Yes.
Oh, I think we may have to read out the names of the form on the best table topics list. I don't think is correct.
Oh,
is
it's
that right,
not
Sean?
working. Is that not working, Sean?
Okay.
Anybody?
I can read out the
Okay,
the
let's see
list.
if we can go back
Or
to
actually,
the
if you put it
list.
back on screen.
Yes, let me see if I can do that. Okay, so the list is on the screen. I'm not sure what's on the table topics form. We'll get that fixed as well. Colleen was the first speaker. Devika was the second. Biagio was the third. Emilie was the fourth. Jeneil was the fifth. Asantie was the sixth. Dulce was the seventh. Sean was the eighth. Cailley was 9. And Tejaswini was number 10. So if you vote for the number in the list under the number versus the name, we'll go back and fix that. And then hopefully there's also the table topics feedback form as well. All right, with that said, let's get back into the roles for our timer and grammarian. Tonight we have Tejaswini, is that correct? So why don't you give us our times for the evening, Tejaswini?
So Rob finished at 4:15. Great speech, Rob. Colleen, who was the evaluator, I seem to have missed it a little bit, but I think it was 2:15. Colleen, again, in the table topics, was 2:40, a little over. Devika was exactly 3 minutes. Biagio was, I'm sorry if I pronounced the name wrong, 2:10. Emilie was 2:10 again. Jeneil was 2:30. Asantie was 1:45. Dulce was 2:50. Sean was 2:20. Cailley was 2:40, and I was 2:50.
Great, thank you for that, Tejaswini. And let's get to Sanjay. Sanjay, can you give us our grammarian count?
All right, and great job everyone on some really great speeches tonight. So I'll be counting your ums, your so's, your you knows, your likes, and whether you use the word of the day, which was elucidate. So Rob, really great speech and amazing visuals with your background. That was really cool to see. You had 3 so's, but other than that, you were flawless, but did not use the word of the day. And then Colleen, who was evaluating Rob, used ums more than 5 times. So keep an eye on that one, but really great evaluation. Did not use the word of the day. So for our table topics, we had Colleen again for the first one that did it with 5+ ums. Really hard to break the ums. I just noticed myself saying at least 5 times doing this this recap right now, so it's a hard habit to break. 2 so's, 1 you know, 1 like, and no word of the day. Devika, 5+ ums, 5+ you knows, no word of the day. Biagio, 5+ ums, 2 you knows, and did use the word of the day. Emilie, 2 ums, did not use the word of the day. Really good job with the ums and the filler words there. Jeneil, likewise, only 2 ums, and you did use the word of the day, so great job there. Asantie, also great job, only 1 and did use the word of the day. D, 1 and did not use the word of the day, so great job with the filler words there. Sean, you had 2 ums, and you had 5+ you knows and 5+ likes, did not use the word of the day. Cailley, you had 5 ums, you did not use the word of the day, but otherwise no other category of filler word was used. And finally,